starting my camera thing, my tuner now. Okay, so we're going to talk about French horn really quick, and this is just a run through of some French horn basics and also walking you through scale, talking about partials. Part of the reason this instrument is challenging is because your mouthpiece, instead of being shaped like a cup, like it is on trumpet or trombone, right, where it literally makes like a little bowl, it's instead like a little V like this, right? And that's what puts our partials close together. But also, that's because this instrument is like one of the oldest instruments that's been around forever, actually. It was here with violins and like the very first like harpsichord pianos and stuff. Like, this is the instrument that precedes all of our other brass instruments. And that cone-shaped mouthpiece is sort of why it worked in that setting. It means it has a huge range. And you, as a French horn player, already know that that's why it's challenging. Because sometimes we're like trying to get the even partial out and it just doesn't want to go for us. So I'm going to do a run through of the concert B-flat scale, which for you is your F. And I'm going to be starting with the F that's the bottom space of the staff. So if we're looking at the staff, this one. There is the ability to play the F underneath that. And then I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start at the one that's in the staff to take us through then to the top line F, okay? And you'll notice some notes overlap and they're like a trumpet, and some notes are completely different than trumpet. Note that, one, it's okay to have a fingering chart in front of you, especially if you're coming from being a trumpet player and switching over, because some of them are different. If you have a B-flat trigger, lots of times using that B-flat trigger makes our fingerings similar to how they were on trumpet. Not always, but sometimes. But it's also not a requirement to have a B-flat trigger, right? That just means our horn has a wider range because it has two sets of piping. The other sort of disclaimer is if you don't have a tuner on your device that you can carry around with you, I recommend one. So I'm using Tonal Energy, I think is what it's called. And I like it because it gives me a little happy face, like when stuff's in tune. And being able to check our pitches with a tuner is such a big deal because French horn, like, the partials are so close together, right? And by partials, I'm meaning on trumpet, like C, G, C, G, C, are very spaced out. But on French horn, for example, in this scale, C is open, D is open, E is open. We're like, whoa, how can they all be open when they're right next to each other? And that's what I mean by the partials being closer together. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through your scale now. And you can play along, or you can do the scale at the end, and you can just stop to match pitches. Also, this is like not one of my main instruments, so if I'm a little bit wobbly, I apologize ahead of time. The first thing too is also like posture with this guy. So if it rests on your lap and you bring yourself to here, this is not optimum playing position, right? You want to actually set it so that you can bring your horn up to yourself. Here's going to be our concert B-flat scale, or your F scale if you play French horn, right? The first note is F, and it looks like it does on trumpet where it's just our first valve, right? Right? That's that first valve, F, just like on trumpet. Our next note is a G, and G is open like it is on trumpet. So now we have... Our third note is an A, and that looks like it does on trumpet, where it's first and second valve, right? So if I do all three, I should have... And then our next note is B flat, and so B flat is going to be first valve, kind of like how F was, right? But with faster air, so we're in that higher partial now. Right, so those first four notes should be... And the fifth note is a C, which is open like it is on trumpet. Right? And then we stay from that C, moving up. D and E are both open as well. The way that I would think about it is if I'm picturing inside my mouthpiece, I'm kind of speeding my air up, and I literally picture like there's a little staff in my mouthpiece, like a tiny one. And so I'm like, C is here, D is a little bit higher, E is a little bit higher. And I know that's a little bit weird, but for some people it helps. So if I'm going probably from the beginning, sorry. That takes us all the way to the F on top. And notice the F on top is first valve the way that it was below the staff as well. Now I'm going to give it a run where I do half notes of the whole scale. if you hear between my D and E, I was a little bit like, keep it on the right one, right? That's really common, especially when we're first starting out on French horn. Even if you've been playing it for a while, sometimes they're like, wait, hold on, let's find the in-between. Don't freak out about it. It's a tricky instrument, and you're awesome for just playing it in the first place. Hopefully that helps you walk through that scale.